Hey, welcome to Life of Alphy 1. Today we're shooting a podcast with Kelvin. And today we're going to be talking about navigating the quarter life crisis, pressures of growing up and succeeding in your 20s. So the first question I wanted to talk about was just like the introduction of what a quarter life crisis is, and why it's a common experience for many young adults and how it differs with other life stages because, the quarter life crisis is like the beginning, and then midlife crisis, that's like down the line where you've gone through a lot of stuff. And I just wanted to talk about like how your experience, what the quarter life crisis is, and how you're navigating through it.
Sure. The quarter life crisis is kind of interesting, right? Because I feel like some people don't experience it. Like it's good to experience that fear in your 20s of, not knowing where you're going to be in the world. Because a lot of people, they don't really focus on that until afterwards, and they kind of waste their time. But I don't know, my experience right now in my 20s is something I take very seriously. Especially constantly seeing like people my age succeeding almost at any given moment on social media. If you just open it, you can see someone your age is just doing way better than you. So it's kind of different now than it was back then.
That is true. Yeah, I think, what is it called? Like, social media has been like a big impact. At least, with your experience, and my experience, it's just like seeing so many people succeed and stuff like that. It kind of shows that, what is it called? It kind of, what is it? Comparison is the thief of joy.
You're right.
It kind of shows that, like, what is it called? Like, it makes it seem like a lot of people are ahead. And then it makes it seem like you're so far behind, and then So like that's been my experience with it too, and like social media. And I think that brings up like a really good question of like, give me a second, I have it. Like, the impact of social media and like those pressures and like how it's affected you.
Sure. So like, I guess from someone who, I'm not really on social media that much. I don't really post that much, but of course I'm just like everyone else. I can scroll on TikTok and things of that nature. But as of now, recently, you already know I've been on a social media detox for about like 7 months now. And it's definitely, once you like separate yourself from it, you can see like how it was like impacting you either consciously or subconsciously. I guess a lot of the times it kind of stripped me away from living in the present moment. And I kind of focused on a lot of, like you said, comparing myself to others. So I guess now I'm kind of like in the stage with the detox where like I can kind of really just focus on my life without trying to compare it to someone else. And it allows me to like, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of take it step by step, day by day. Like a lot of those things that are shown on social media, for one, are fake, right? Because people can just social media is just a platform to make your life look perfect, like or like better than what it actually is. Like that's what people post. They want people to see, oh, I'm doing so well, right? So it's like I try not to focus on it too much now, especially with my social media detox.
I think that's a really good thing. I think a lot of people that be on social media, they don't really realize that, what is it called? Like a lot of stuff is fake.
Yeah.
With like,
it's really fake.
Yeah, it's really fake. Like for people like us who go to the gym, social media and seeing people with like perfect bodies and stuff like that. A lot of that shit is like, highly edited, or it's kind of like hella lighting.
Yep.
Or, another form factor is like steroids and stuff like that. Like you never really know like the truth of like how somebody's life is behind the screen. Because on social media, it's all perfect. They only show like their highlights, none of their lowlights.
Yeah.
Everything that they do, traveling, eating good food and stuff like that. But you don't know how their bank account looks like. You don't know nothing like that. So
you saying that they don't show their lowlights, I like that, because it's really like all about showing the highlights of someone's life. But there's like so much lowlights and going in between that, or so much things behind the closed doors that are not really shown. And people can just really forget that when they're constantly scrolling on social media and just seeing this. Like you think to yourself, oh, this is the life that they're living 24/7. When it's really not like that. You feel me?
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing for a lot of like,
Yeah.
young men and women to be able to understand that social media is not like, it's not a place where you should be comparing things. Even me, like as a photographer and stuff like that, like it plays like a lot of stuff into making like a picture look really good and stuff like that. That sometimes I think for me, like my hardest thing with my photography is like I don't want to make it seem like AI or like human, like take the human away from the pictures, because a lot of people like make people's perfect, like their skin perfect and stuff like that, but I'm a big believer of like imperfections is what makes perfection, but that was just like a tangent and stuff like that. And now that you're like 20 and stuff like that, what is the definition of success to you? Like,
What is
what would
a
you say
definition
that,
of success?
yeah, like,
That's a good question. There's a lot of different ways to interpret that question, I guess. For me, what I really been focusing on lately is like becoming, because it's really transitioning into manhood in a sense, which I don't want to say like I'm not a man, but it's like really trying to understand what that means. I'm not really focused on, oh yeah, by 20 I need to be a multimillionaire, I need to do this and that. It's really about starting local, like internally. Okay, so how am I going to be a successful man? Like, what does that mean? I need to be able to provide for my family. I need to like have the most responsibility I can shoulder on my shoulders without succumbing or falling. I need like my family to be able to rely on me. So it's just constant, like to be successful right now is really just building up a super strong foundation that can't really be broken with like strong morals, discipline, all those things. Right?
yeah, I agree with your statement and stuff like that. I think, a lot of people, when they're thinking about success and stuff like that, they're only thinking about like financial, like, I have to be rich, whatever, whatever.
Right.
But a lot of people forget that being rich in life is not all about like, it's not all about money. Like being rich in life is about like being rich in your relationship, like with your partner,
Right.
being rich in your relationship with your friends, being rich with like, just like being rich in your own self, like self-love, loving yourself and stuff like that. There's so many like ways you can be successful in life that it doesn't have to do with financially, but what is it called? But being great financially helps you, be successful in other aspects of your life.
Right.
It makes it easier because then you'll be able to be free and do other stuff like that.
Exactly. And yeah, of course, finances is like the best way to measure success, or like the most commonly used way. Like, someone's gonna ask you how much money you make, and then they're gonna determine like if you're successful off of that judgment. So it's natural for that to be the case. Not to like completely disregard money. Obviously, it's important, like you're saying, but I think that without the strong foundations, you're never gonna like, even if you're in a position where you could make a lot of money or people are relying on you, if you don't have like that strong foundation, like you won't even be successful for long. Like there's people who become successful and then they just lose all their money because they don't even have like any good principles or
Good
morals or like how to even like what to do with that, right? So it just falls apart. So,
Yeah, I think defining success at this young age, or like the quarter life crisis, is an important thing for yourself to think about too, because a lot of people neglect the factor, or a lot of young men, since it's Men's Mental Health Month in June, a lot of young men forget that being successful in life is not all about just financial, and the grind mentality. Back to social media is like, where you see everybody like they're just grinding, not going out to parties, not yada. But then you're losing the life factor out of that, like just like experiencing life. We only live once. We only live once. You're not saying that you have to party and stuff like that. There's so many other things you can do, like you can go hiking, other hobbies, be active in your friend's life. You don't have to be alone all the time and like like forget that to live life, because you will burn out. That's also important. Like people burn out. Like and that burning out can kind of like make your mental health worse than better it,
Yeah.
So like taking breaks and being healthy with it is also like a really good thing. Like, I think the key to life at this age and all stages of life is like you have to be able to be balanced. Like being balanced and stuff like that. Being balanced with like your thing. You can't have too much like, you can't be too much on social media. You can't be too much like outside. Like
Right.
you gotta have balance with everything.
Right.
That's really all I think. And I think that one is like, it brings up the thing where I was talking about burnout is like, how do you deal with failures, and how do you think like dealing with failures affects you?
Right. So for me, reaching burnout, right? Naturally, everyone reaches burnout. You're going strong productively for weeks, maybe months. No sign of really burning out for real. But then it kind of hits. So I guess initially I would like berate myself or like put down on myself for burning out. Oh, this is how far you can go, or like you're kind of like putting you're obviously you like to work, so you're like putting yourself down for not being able to work, which is not going to really help you get back to work in a sense. So you really have to like take that time to rest. But I don't really let myself stay burned out for too long. I can kind of like notice there's like usually habits that you will gain again when you're burnt out. Like you can kind of notice, oh, I'm doing this too much, or like, I'm not doing enough of this. I'm kind of consuming more than I'm creating, and you can kind of notice it. And then it's really all about, it's the same thing over and over again, like taking the leap of faith of just going back to work. It's kind of like the longer you go without like, oh, this work is going to be so hard, like you just dive back into it. That's really the solution for me. When I know that, okay, I've been taking a break for too long, just dive head first back into it. Yeah.
So that's how dealing with failures has been healthy for you, just taking a break and being able to, take that swing back and stuff like that.
And then it's really like when you're dealing with failure and you're like, it feels like kind of like you're moving backwards for a little bit. It's really about being humble sorry, I can't really articulate what I'm trying to say. It's really about being humble in coming back. Like nothing is too small to like of progress, if that makes sense. Like, when I'm really burnt out and I'm not doing anything, it's easy for you to not even consider cleaning the room and washing the dishes as that big of a thing. But like that small step is a small step towards, getting back to work again. Like I think all those small steps are really important.
Yeah. I think, it's going to be funny if my mom watches this, or my parents. It's like, I think the one thing that I've noticed in life is the kind of like how you are at home is how you are outside. It's kind of like if you build habits at home, like little stuff where it doesn't seem that big, it helps you with other aspects of your life. Because then, small things where it's like making your bed, it becomes like a habit, and then it literally just feels like something natural. I think building healthy habits is like the way, just creating like, healthy habits.
Yeah, basically. Jordan Peterson always says, you should clean your room first before you do anything. Because if your room's not clean, like how are you gonna like, create the thoughts that, like the big thoughts that you want to follow through with, you feel me? So
I agree. Okay, so with dealing with failure, what about planning for the future? Because we're at that age where like life's starting to get serious and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like having to, plan for the future, planning like financial, how to help yourself like financially go, or whatever plans you have for the future. Maybe it's kind of like, you want to get married or like look for like a significant other, just like little stuff like that. Like, how do you go with that?
Well, so I guess planning for the future, that one is hard, right? So with planning for the future, there's always like anxiety linked with it, with thinking about the future. That's just the emotion that is usually linked with it. So I guess I'm always thinking about it because I'm always trying to like, if I think about it, maybe it can help mitigate my anxiety if I can create like plans in place, you know. But I don't know. There's a few things I know I want to do. Like for one, for Muay Thai, I want to go to Thailand in 2 years once I'm graduated with college and things of that nature. But for my age, 20, I'm not really thinking about marriage or for real, if I'm being honest. It's like, it's in my head a little bit. It's in there, like there's a little headspace in there, but I'm not really too concerned about it. I don't want to say high standards with women, like in terms of like who I'm going to actually end up being with, but it's like I kind of do, in a sense. And I'm not really one to like rush
into things,
like rush into finding like, oh, my person's like, I'd rather just wait, we'll focus on myself. Like that person will come eventually.
Yeah.
So I'm not really too focused about that aspect of the future.
I agree with that. I think that's good. I think a lot of people rush into things, like in the dating scene, at least right now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be a hater or anything like that, but like it seems like a lot of people, it seems like a lot of people don't like focus on themselves first.
Yeah.
Like you have to have a foundation in yourself first to be able to find somebody, and you know, work on issues together. But I feel like it all starts with like, you know, focusing with yourself first, because if you don't focus with yourself first, you're gonna have like unhealthy insecurities and stuff like that, and giving that out to your partner is just like an issue that could have been fixed if you just took time to actually listen to yourself and focus on yourself and figure out like what you like, what you dislike, stuff like that. And like I think you have to really know yourself before you go chasing into another partner, because at this age, if you get with somebody, it's getting real. Like let's say if I spend a year with somebody and it gets wasted, bro, I'm 23.
Right.
Because I know my goals. I want to be able to get married and start having children probably like 27, 28. So I have to take it like a little bit more serious right now, while also focusing on other aspects of life. But you know, I have to take it like very, very seriously,
right,
and stuff like that, because that's my personal goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understandable. But yeah, with the future, honestly, for me, I guess it's more lately. I don't want to say focusing on my past, because I'm not really. It's not like really where I'm caught up with my past, but it's in the sense where I know that basically the person that you are now has a lot to do with
how you were,
things that happened, you know, 2 years ago, a long time ago, like, you know, all the things that you did before then. So I guess I'm really just focusing on subconscious things that, or how do I put this? I guess I'm focusing on
coping, kind of.
I don't want to say coping.
I would say like for me, like, because I realized like a lot of the not grudges, but a lot of the stuff that I would resolve around, it would be from my past and stuff like that. And I think as a man, if you don't learn how to healthily cope with that stuff, it's gonna be stuck with you, and it's gonna be fucking up everything that you go through. So you gotta learn how to like cope with your past, and like cope, and also go through the 5 stages of grief, and also end up on acceptance. Because once you accept it, it's not gonna bother you no more.
Right.
You're just gonna. It's already accepted.
Right. True acceptance.
Yeah, true acceptance.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I was saying. Like coping would be like a good like word to kind of put it under.
I guess I know what you mean. Because it's like a lot of stuff that I need to accept, get over, and like, you know, filter through in order to like really become like a new person, I guess.
Yeah. I'm excited to see your journey as well. You know, I appreciate you for coming onto the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I'm excited to see your journey as a man, especially like with your, you know, your physical self, your mental stuff and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm excited because you do plan on doing content at least on YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see how you're going to grow as a person, and see like how, you know, your opinions on your, I guess your philosophy of life, and just seeing like how you form into Kelvin.
Yeah.
Your legacy.
I feel you.
And I'm excited to see that. So thank you for coming on to the podcast. I think that's really all the questions we could talk about. It's like 1:30 at night. We're basically tired as fuck.
Hey man, I mean, I'm chilling, honestly, having fun. But if there is any more questions that you did want to ask, it's fine. I don't mind continue talking.
Okay.
I did see some in there.
There is some in here
that I wanted to talk about.
Okay, but
building support system is nice.
Okay. If there was a random cut, that's because we thought we ended the podcast and we decided to add some more footage. So I think what were we talking about? Do you remember what we were talking about beforehand? Or
I don't remember now.
Okay, well we'll just talk about like building a support system and how important that is, you know? I feel like a lot of people don't have like a strong support system because they think that working alone is better and stuff like that. But in this world, I think, you know, it's important to have a support system behind you, whether it be your friends, your family, just, you know, somebody to help you push you into that, you know, the light. Right. Because sometimes you can be down and stuff like that. And when you have the support system where they pick you back up, whether it's like me, you know, being like, how are you, you know, how could I help you, you know, like hit your goals and stuff like that.
Man, I think having a support system is incredibly powerful, honestly, because for one, humans are social creatures, right? Naturally, we're just going to be inclined to like do well and better when we have like, you know, environment of socialness around us. So it's like having family that you can rely on, having friends that you can rely on, like all that is important. They're gonna get you to the next level. But it's even more than that. Like on those days, like you need a reminder in a sense. On those days where you're doing like a lot of work and you're feeling burnt out, like it brings me so much strength when I hear like my mom's voice or someone else in my family, and I know like I can remember what I'm like putting the work in for. You know, the support system, it goes a long way. I think it's very important.
I think it's also important for, you know, since we're young men and stuff like that, I think it's important who you surround yourself with right now. Yeah. Or even, not young, okay, I'm not going to say young men and women as well. I think it's important that you support, like you surround yourself people that want to see you win. Yeah. People that are competitive with you. Because competition is not always bad. You can be competitive with somebody and you guys are helping each other like reach new levels that you never thought. I think that's, you know, me and you are extremely competitive. Right. When we go to the gym, we're always pushing ourselves and we never have like a terrible like off day because, you know, we're pushing ourselves further and further down. And I think it's important to have somebody being able to push you. And I think it's also important to have like, you know, friends, have people that disagree with you. Because if you just have yes mans, always agreeing with whatever you say, it's not good.
It's not good. You're never going to open yourself to new perspectives or actually get real based opinions on your works and things like that. So
yeah. Okay, so how do you handle difference in ambition and career goals in your personal relationships?
That's a good question. Well, for one, I guess you're talking about like romantic relationships, like with a partner.
Yeah, I think that one would be good.
Sure. Well, for me personally, I don't know. I've grown up with watching my mom become like, who's a very hard worker. She's like, she doesn't let the fact that she's a woman, you know, cause her to not put in work. And not saying that that's what women do, but in a sense, like she's just very independent. Not saying she doesn't need a man, but that's what it seems like sometimes because she's just so independent, passionate about her career. And I think because of that, that's just kind of the type of woman I probably would want to associate myself with in a relationship. I find myself very attracted to like women who are who are very passionate about their careers and like who love to put the work in and go past their limits with things like that. But at the same time, that causes it can cause a lot of conflicts in the relationship as well. Because women who tend to do that can also have very masculine traits. So it's kind of hard to like balance that in a relationship sometimes. I want a strong, independent woman, but sometimes in a relationship, you can get like, you can butt heads and things of that nature. But me personally, I want a working woman. She doesn't have to be a traditional woman where she's cleaning and cooking all the time. It'd probably be nice if I did have kids, if both of us were working in the beginning. Well, I guess before we had kids, both of us was working. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
I think it does. I think handling ambition and career goals in my personal relationship, it might differ from yours and stuff like that. Because I think from how I was raised was, I have to be with a woman who's not dumb. That's first thing. Like
Right.
they have to be intelligent in their own way, and they also have to have like their own personal goals, and just focused and stuff like that. And I think for me, I'm more accepting for like, I don't think we'll butt heads or anything like that, but I like the independence. Like there's independence. Like you have to be balanced with both. Like sometimes we see each other like a lot, but then when we stray away from each other, we don't like butt heads or anything like that, because
Right.
we have our space to ourselves and we have our space together. And I think balancing both of that does not really make it hard to handle those, because when she's by herself, I'm also like encouraging her to like focus on whatever she wants to focus on,
Yeah.
like her personal goals. And whenever I need help with like my personal goals or anything like that, she's there to help me. And like just give me that extra, what is it called, motivation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it goes both ways, where you're kind of like trying to motivate and uplift each other. So it's like, it's really important for me to see that my partner has their own creative works that they're working on and projects. Like, that's a really important thing to me. Because once I see that, that motivates me as well. And I just want to be surrounded with that energy, rather than a woman who is really only looking. Well, it's fine that you offer cooking and cleaning and things like that, and traditionalism, but it's like I was raised where I can do all that myself, really. So it's like, if that's the only thing you're offering, then it's not really much of an offer. So
I feel like for me, like, I'm fine ending up like in a traditional relationship where like if she wants to do all that stuff, she offers that. Where it really just depends on my partner and what she wants. If she wants to be independent and stuff like that,
right.
then that's it. If she wants to be like a more traditional cook and clean, she doesn't have to work or anything like that, then she doesn't have to. Like I want to be able to be successful to the point where like my partner can do whatever they want to do. That's my personal goal.
Right.
Like my partner can be a stay-at-home parent, or she can be a working mother. Like I just want to be able to give my partner the freedom to do whatever they want to do, if that makes sense. So, okay, I think that one was really good. I think from there, I think we should talk about like, what are your thoughts on the idea of having a dream job? Is it realistic or overrated? And what is your dream job? Actually, let's start off with what is your dream job then?
What is my dream job?
Yeah.
I've never really thought about that too much, because it's and like you said, going back to the first question, is it unrealistic? I've always considered it unrealistic. Like to have a dream job, not necessarily unrealistic, but it's just like every job, there's gonna be work put into it, and like that's really the part that people don't like, is the work put into it, of course. So it's like, I don't know, anything can be super fun and thrilling and you love it, but when you make it into a job, like anything can just become like harder to do or something that you don't want to do. So it's not really, I don't know, the dream job is questionable for me. I don't really have a dream job, I would say.
Okay, so this, you might laugh at this, but my dream job is literally being unemployed. That's literally my dream job.
Right.
And I think that should be everyone's dream job. I don't want to be working at no corporate job, answering to somebody's calls and orders and following instructions and stuff like that.
Right.
I want to be able to be successful to the point where like I'm at home and money's still flowing into my bank account. That's my dream job. Like I guess like something that I can see myself doing like for a really long time is this kind of like, you know, talking to different people and creating content and sharing that with the world and stuff like that. That's something that I can that I can physically do and see myself doing forever, because it's something that I enjoy doing. Seeing people's mindsets, seeing people like, you know, reaction to the questions or whatever. Like that's something I can see myself doing down the line. But I can't see myself like working under somebody's job. Like I have to clock in at 8 o'clock, attend meetings and stuff like that. That's just something. That's not a dream job to me. I can't ever do that. And hey, if you have a dream job where it's kind of like you're saving lives and stuff like that, kudos to you. But 100%. For me personally, I just want freedom. That's my dream job. Just freedom to do whatever I want at any given moment, any given time. And is it realistic or overrated? I think for me, it's realistic as long as I put in the work and bring in, you know, personal endeavors and business endeavors and stuff like that, and combine it to being able to like, so I can make money no matter what I'm doing, whether it's through like, you know, sponsorships or sponsorships. Sure. You know, just like incoming revenue from whatever I do it. But, you know, I'll figure that out down the line, you know, and I think, you know, it has to be a plan. Like all of it has to be planned out. That's something really big, and that's something that I'm realizing. At least like I've been meaning to actually like make like a vision board of like my life in the next like 10 years and stuff like that. Because once you have a vision board and you have something that you're constantly working towards you can never ever, what is it called, fail that, because that's a vision you have for yourself. I've never made a goal in my life and not like hit it. If you put the work in. If you put the work in, it's all about a numbers game. Like literally just putting in the hours and just working.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer of that as well. It's like if you have a goal and you put the hours in, if it takes a year, 5 years, 10 years, like as long as you just keep the goal in mind, like there's no way you can't reach it. Like if you just put in more hours than everyone else.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So
just hours, like you can be talented, but if you're not putting hours in, it's definitely gonna be tough. Okay, what about societal expectations of success? Do you think, you know, like outside viewership, does that matter to you? Like how society views you? Do you think that plays a role into kind of like, does it pressure you more, or you don't really care about stuff like that? Because, you know, I think I'm gonna give you an example to make it easier. For me, it's kind of like a societal expectation is, you know, like my parents are African. Yeah. The other parents are African. You know, my parents are African. They care about how our family is viewed. Yeah. Because they're successful. And if me as their kid doesn't end up successful, it's going to be tarnishing their reputation. Yeah. While personally, I don't care about that. Right. But my parents care about that, and that makes me care. Yeah, I care about my parents. So it makes me care about that, you know, like. Yeah. How does that pressure you?
I definitely get that. That's something that's not talked about enough. Sometimes I feel like as a kid, right, your parents can easily put pressure on you to succeed. And growing up African, you know, it's different too. Like as a minority in general, it seems even more pressured. But yeah, I don't know. I just deal with it. It's like it's there for sure. Some days it can weigh down on me. I'm like, okay, I can't. Like you said, I can't fail. Like if I fail, it's gonna not only is it gonna look bad for me, and I'm gonna be disappointed. Like it also falls onto my parents' shoulders and the people that are watching them, that they're gonna be disappointed because You know, whether you like it or not, there are people watching you. You know, you feel me? Like of course, their judgment is gonna be quick. Oh, but like the judgment still kind of matters in a sense. But I don't know. I just deal with it. I guess. Let me think. It's really just. It's something that I don't pay too much mind. I try not to pay too much mind to. Well, I don't want to say that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but
It's hard because for me, bro, I think the most pressure I had was kind of like when I went to Africa
yeah,
and like just seeing like how many family members I have over there
yeah,
that are struggling and stuff like that. And I know like I'm the oldest cousin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the oldest cousin on my mom's side, and I think, you know, I like I don't want to put that stress on myself, but
yeah,
you know, there are people who are going to be dependent on me whether I like it or not, and I'm going to have to step up and be able to help them because, you know, I'm a big firm believer of like family. Like I care about my family a lot, and I think, you know, even if I don't have like those personal relationship with them, like I want to be able to be in a standpoint where like I could help them, you know, help them set them up for like to be able to succeed as long as they
right.
follow the right
So
path.
I guess actually now that I'm thinking about it, to go further into that, because pressure really builds diamonds, right? So like the more pressure you're under and you can like withstand it, the better. So I guess I'm really, when I think about the pressure that are on my shoulders, that from society standards, cultural standards, my parents, you know, friends and family, it's there, and sometimes it does weigh down on me. But I'm a firm believer that like things could be worse. Like I could have a lot more pressure. It's kind of funny. I was literally just looking at a video the other day, and it was Shaq, and he was talking about a story where he was in like a game, like an NBA final or whatnot, and he felt the pressure of the crowd. Like, you know, he had to succeed, and he messed up or whatever, and his dad came, and his dad was like a little disappointed, and he was like I just felt pressured, you know, and his dad basically took him. They went on a car ride. They went under a bridge. They sat under there for 3 hours until a homeless family got out of their tent and came up, and he was just like telling them like that's pressure, like waking up every day not knowing if you're gonna have food or clothes on you, but like that's real pressure. So it's kind of like whenever I think about the pressure on me, I understand that it's not. It could be like a lot worse.
Yeah.
Because growing up with my dad, like as a father figure, I know that he went through like unimaginable pressure when he first came in from Africa and he had like literally the whole family riding on his shoulders to succeed. So it's like any pressure that I have, it doesn't amount to. Not saying that it's invalid, but it can always be worse.
That is true. I think that's a good mindset as long as you remember that what is it called? You know, also thinking that like that mindset is also like it's positive and it's also negative sometimes because everyone faces problems no matter how rich, successful or anything you are. You know, maybe it might not be like not having a shelter under your head, you know, that's like the worst case scenario for a lot of people, but like you can have personal issues whether it's kind of like depression, stuff like that. Like there are problems where everyone faces problems, so I'm not trying to like invalidate or anything like that or like make it
100%.
you get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. It's just like the weight of those problems, are they really that heavy? You know, it's like there are really kids who wake up and they only know war, they only know death, they only know famine. It's like, yeah, of course those problems that people have are valid. I'm not like gonna invalidate those things, but it's like,
Well, no, what I'm saying is I'm not
yeah,
don't invalidate your personal problems because of that. Because other people are going through worse.
right,
Because you can also be going problems, and it may not. And you're having this mindset of like it could be worse. It could be worse. But that could also push you all the way till like suicide. You never know. Like don't invalidate. What I'm just trying to say is like you have problems too.
right,
And sometimes, you know, it could be worse, yes, but also handle your problems healthy.
okay, right.
Don't always push it back. That's just
Agreed.
all I'm trying to say.
I get that.
Yeah, so Okay, yeah. This one's a good one. What self-care practices have you found most effective in maintaining your well-being?
I like that question. Yeah, self-care. So like, that's something I've really been focusing on a lot lately. Is just myself. So for one, like I was saying earlier, social media detox, just spending less time consuming other people's content and trying to get into the mindset to create my content. Is definitely like a form of self-care. Meditation is something that is really underrated. It's a very good practice. Like just it's really about self-awareness in a sense. So I always try to do my best to be aware of like I guess of my experiences, no matter how small, like what's going through my mind and how do I put it? I don't know. Self-awareness is a big thing for self-care. It's like if you're not aware of the problems that you're facing and the constant cycles of negative cycles that you're putting yourself in, it's like you're never gonna break out of them.
Yeah.
So like just really silencing the noise is like a really big self-care thing. I found out recently if like for me doing nothing is better than doing nothing, which sounds funny, but essentially I'd rather do nothing, like stare at a wall and really to give myself no distractions to really think about the real issues that are going on in my life than to do nothing, like of just scrolling or just yeah, like I'll literally will do nothing and then naturally the actual issues in your mind, actual things that you're always like suppressing, trying to push back, they're just gonna be forced to come up. And
Yeah,
then
because you're doing nothing.
You're doing nothing
Yeah.
except staring at a wall, and then you're gonna, of course, think about actual real shit. So it's like, and then you just have to address it. So I don't know. Those are a few things that I've been doing for self-care.
I think for self-care practices, for me personally, I think the biggest one is going to the gym. That one's a big one for me personally. Ever since like I started like, I go to the gym. Well, I've never personally like when I started going to the gym, I never like really went because of like my physical appearance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was really content with how I look. I didn't really care about that much, but I really like the what is it called? Just like the making the noise shut up.
Yeah.
When you lift, like the noise really just shuts up. Like you're overthinking and stuff like that. It really just goes quiet. Like even when you have loud music in your ear and you're lifting heavy,
Yeah.
you don't hear that music. You're just
That's real. That's real.
you're just pushing through.
Yeah.
And it also just it's a form of relaxation because after I'm really satisfied with that I really did like that great work. So I think that one's a really good one.
Yeah.
I think that's for physical health. For mental health, I think the biggest one for myself was just realizing thoughts are thoughts. Like thoughts are not real until I bring them out.
Right.
Like
right.
I could think about something really negative in my head and be like, really, but when I act on it, that's when it becomes real.
Right.
But before that, it's really just thoughts. Like it's really just my mind going on random tangents and stuff like that. But as soon as it comes out, that's when it's a real thing. And I think that one, and also the biggest one is treating myself like my best friend. I'm my own best friend.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one. A lot of people always forget to treat themselves like they're their own best friend because, you're just putting yourself through like hardship and you just always forget that, you are your own best friend. If you're not your own best friend, it's hard.
Right. Exactly. Treat yourself how you would treat others.
Yeah, because if your mind is an enemy to yourself, then it's not a healthy way.
Right. And another thing for the self-care too is like like self-expression is something that I've really been trying to work on because like I find when I don't creatively express myself for like a prolonged period of time, then you're gonna get depressed in a sense. It's like you need to like express yourself to the world, like you feel me. Be it any creative expression, music, writing, drawing, anything. Yeah, that's something that's really important. I believe so.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, I think that has been photography recently. I've been going crazy with like taking pictures and being able to like express myself and trying to come up with a style, basically, if that makes sense.
Right.
And I think that has been able to like give me like that creative expression.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, what advice would you give to your, let's say, freshman year high school self?
Freshman year of high school self.
Freshman year of high school, you just got into high school. How would you, like, what advice would you give yourself?
Man, there's so many things I would tell my past self if I could, if I really could. I guess the number one thing is like not to worry about what other people think too much. That's like what mostly everyone would say, but it's really true. It's like it's kind of crazy looking back on how just that one worry, worrying about what other people thinks, like how much that really limits your potential in that regard. Like, who knows what I would be now if I would like adopted that mindset earlier. Like, even now, like I'm not fully there yet, but it's like if I would have the experience I had now in terms of that, like I'd be so much like a way better person. Yeah, that's probably the number one thing I would say to my past self is to just worry less about what others think about you. Just do what you want to do. Like even if you're scared to do it or things like that. Just if that's what you want to do, then just do it. Simple as that.
I feel, okay, so for me personally,
Yeah.
it would be learn from other people's mistakes. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Like, I have to personally learn from other people's mistakes. I learned that way too late, and I just decided to go through things head on, not listening to other people's advice or my parents and stuff like that. And that stuff has put me in probably the lowest points of my lives. And I'm always like, I'm always just like, I think there was one experience where I had something, and I was just like, I literally just said I should have listened to my dad to myself. I should have just listened to my father, and I wouldn't have been in this predicament.
Yeah.
And I think ever since then, actually, like ever since I said that, I've become less hard-headed to other people's mistakes and stuff like that.
That's good.
But I think I learned that a little bit too late.
Right.
And I think that's a lesson. I think everyone goes through like their own personal lesson, but that was the biggest lesson I had to figure out for myself. Because like, when I was younger, I really looked up to like really like, I want to say prideful people, like whether it was in anime characters, soccer players. Shoot, like one of my favorite soccer players was Zlatan.
Right.
Zlatan is known for being...
He's an egoist.
like an egotistical person. And like, that was something that I personally reflected on myself a couple months ago. And I was just like, damn, like, I'm really just like the childhood version of myself in an adult body and like more mature. Obviously, like the maturity is going to come. But, just like, I'm still like how I was like a couple years ago. Like, it's crazy how much like your past self, like, connects with your present self, if that makes sense. Yeah. What's one thing you wish you had known earlier about the pressures of growing up and succeeding?
That's a good question. The first thing that comes to my mind, one thing I wish I would have known earlier about that is that these adults, they ain't even really all that, man. Like, we're the new adults, essentially, right? But it's like, I guess when I was younger, I always like put the adults on a pedestal in a sense, like, oh, that person has this shit figured out and things like that. But it's like, man, these adults, they don't got shit figured out, man. Like, they're not even adults for real. They're just kids. They just grown up children.
That's what I was saying like earlier. Like, I'm really just my younger self in an adult body, and I have like more abilities.
Which I'm not even saying like, oh, I'm super grown up and mature, but it's just like you look at these grown-ups that you used to put on pedestals and you realize like, damn, they really don't even got their shit figured out. Like, like on some shit like that. So yeah, I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to like be mature, be like I need to be like them. I need to, and then come to find out like, oh, they're not even like on that. Like, you feel me? So that's one thing that was very surprising, like transitioning into the adulthood, is like learning that, you know, all the other adults, they're not really all that.
Okay, this one's a really good question for you, actually. What is the role of education? How do you view the role of education when it comes to achieving success? Do you think traditional educational paths are essential, or are there alternative routes that can be equally or more effective?
Ooh, I like that one. So education, that's funny, because that one is kind of like something I'm coming back into. Because I used to be, growing up, I was like seen as a smart kid and things like that. And education was something that was kind of fun for me. But then it kind of got to the point where, and like, well, it was fun because I was doing it mostly for my parents. Like, oh, it was, they would do little games and whatnot where if I got this amount of tests correctly in a row, like, you know, I would get a reward and things of that nature. But then once I got to high school, education really started to fall off for me. I wasn't really interested in it as much anymore, and things like that. But now that I'm out of high school, I'm really understanding the importance of education and just knowledge and scholarship in general. It's like I don't know. There's so much knowledge out there, and we're so blessed to have access to it through books and libraries and history. Like, I'm really someone who believes that who wants to gain wisdom in a sense. So like, you got to look at all those things. Yeah, get stars Shaman. But education, I view it as something that's very important. I personally see myself in the future being someone who might even be like a professor and things like that. I'm low-key gaining back my scholar ways of just studying. Like my dad, it's so funny actually. My dad, he used to tell me all the time, like, you need to study. Like, if you don't work your brain, it's going to eventually deteriorate. And he used to tell me this when I was really young, over and over again. I used to get tired of him telling me it. But it's really instilled to my head now that I'm older. I'm like you really do need to study. Like, people view studying and they associate with school. But it's like, now that I'm out of school, well, I'm still doing college, but like, studying outside of school is so important. Like, just studying topics that you want to study.
Stuff like that. Bro, yes, I think the role of education is really big, and I think that's why a lot of successful countries actually have better education system. Like, a lot of it, like, education is such an important thing. And I think everyone, if you have the access to it and you're not abusing that access, I think you should abuse that access.
Yeah.
The role of education is really a big part when it comes to success. Even if you're going to college and you're not enjoying something that you're learning for, take that lesson from what you're learning in college and apply it into other endeavors in your life, whether it's your business endeavors. College is a great place to give you that opportunity to learn how to study, strategically study, and like know what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Because, you know, high school, it was all about memorization and getting to the test. But now that it's college and having to shift to actually understand the concept and understand the foundation and actually having to process and learn that stuff to the point where like I can explain it to a little kid.
Right.
That is what is important. And I think that's why, you know, a lot of immigrant parents personally emphasize that you should go to college. I think college is still very what is it called? It's a very good way to start your life.
Yeah, college is slept on in a sense where like nowadays it's so easy to see people become successful without going to college. So then you get the whole college is useless thing. But nah, man, the the habits you build from studying, gaining knowledge, retaining the knowledge, being able to retrieve the knowledge, it's crazy. Like, yeah, it's so underrated.
Okay, I think, okay. So, how has your educational journey shaped who you are today? Can you share a specific moment or experience from school that had a significant impact on you?
Yeah, 100%. So I guess the beginning, it was hard.
Oh, yeah.
It was so hard. I wasn't ready for it. So, like I thought I was ready for it, transitioning from high school, and maybe I would have been ready for it. Like, I did AP classes. I was ready for the college level, but it was like I didn't have the drive no more. So I really wasn't ready for it. So, one failed class later, and like me not knowing if the major that I was taking, which was nursing, not knowing if that's what I really wanted to do. That one was like a very pivotal moment in my life, because like it was there I decided like I needed to do what I wanted to do. Like switch from nursing, not just do what other people would want me to do, things like that, and to just really take my own path. And it's been a journey. It's been I was there's this psychiatrist or psychologist on YouTube. I forget his name. He's like an Indian guy, and I think he does like video game. He focuses his content on video gamers and things of that nature. But essentially, he himself explained that he went from a failing student in college to someone with a PhD and like 4.0 and all of that. And it's like, it's a possible thing to happen. It's just like, once you low-key kind of have to get to that rock bottom and like decide for yourself, is this what you really want? And
I think I know who you're talking about because I've seen his videos before sometimes too.
yeah,
I don't know. He talks about it's
him
him
right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
let me
like
see if I could find
he explained how he went from like being a failed college student to like a doctor, PhD, all of that. And I'm kind of low-key seeing myself transition into that journey where it's like you really truly do understand the importance of education, and then you're like, okay, I kind of actually do want to become a scholar and actually learn and learn these concepts. So
yeah, I think you have to hit that rock bottom for
you really
to actually
do
understand how important learning is and stuff like that. I think from a younger audience, if they want to learn something, is kind of just take school a little bit more seriously. It helps you more than you think.
It does. It really does.
Whether it's high school or whatever, it really does prepare you in a lot of ways. Because, like, one thing for me, like, I want to get into business and stuff like that. And, this is just like a simple example. Like, being in those science class and they teach you how, 4 people, you guys all have different roles. That comes into play like down the line in business, because then you find a group of people, different skills, and you all combine it together to make a product or whatever. Just an example. Okay, so yeah, what skills or knowledge did you gain? Okay, wait. Let me see if that's the question that I was looking for. Yeah. Okay, lifelong learning. What strategies do you use to continue learning and developing skills outside of formal education, like outside of school? Like, how do you learn, or how do you see yourself like learning outside of school?
Outside of school? Yeah, I guess, well, I don't know. I'm someone who always wants to learn, and like, was always trying to learn from my experiences, like disregarding just learning from school and education. I was always raised and taught that you need to learn from every experience. No matter how insignificant, there's always a lesson that can be taken from it. So for me, like maintaining like lifelong learning, that's just something that's ingrained in me. I don't think I'm ever gonna really truly give up my love for learning, because in order in order to grow, you need to learn, right? You can never stay stagnant. So that's something that's just it's ingrained in me. I truly believe that everyone should have that mindset as well, just to learn from any and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I think education is really, really important. And yeah. So back to like the thing I was talking about, where you were talking about how like hitting rock bottom with education and stuff like that. What coping mechanisms did you use? Like, what strategies, if you could remember in that moment, what helped you bring you to the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah. Well, for one, I knew that I couldn't give up. There was not an option. That's the number one thing. If I gave up, then not only would I disappoint myself, I would disappoint my parents, things like that. But I don't know. It was really, there was a lot of emotions that went into play when I got to rock bottom in terms of education. There was a lot of negative emotions, of course, because for one, I wanted to blame my parents for the situation I was in, kind of, because it was like, oh, I didn't even want to do this from the beginning. I'm only doing this for my parents, which is not really fair to say, because at the end of the day, your decision is always going to be your decision, like whatever you're doing, even if someone has a gun pointed to your head, like the decision is yours to whatever you do. So it's like, couldn't really do that, and I really had to understand that this was my future and my opportunity at hand. Like like you said earlier about learning from other people's mistakes. One thing that I noticed is that things that people regret the most is not taking the opportunity that was presented to them. So it's like, I understood that this was like a lifetime opportunity. I would always remind myself, like, this is a privilege. Education is a privilege to have. Like, I literally have family in Africa who would love to be in my position, to have their college paid for, where they can just get up and study, and healthy gamer, get up and study and things like that. So I had to really come to terms to that. Like, this is really a real life privilege. Like, I can't be, this is not like some game. Like, I have to take this seriously. I have to not only take this seriously, I have to learn the concepts. I have to like have something to show out of what I'm doing. So once I just got, it was really all about maturity. It was different too, because coming in out of COVID, like COVID was going on, and then I graduated 2021. So it was like coming into college right after COVID, going to online college, worst thing ever. Probably the worst decision I could have made. Because this is like, you're already going through the challenges of COVID. You haven't really taken school serious, and then you decide to do online college, which is even harder. So it's like, but it was really about maturity. And then once I realized that this was my life, and that no one was gonna really come and save me, and that the decisions I made and the opportunities that were presented, like, it all fell upon me to capitalize on them. So then it became easy from there. I just realized the importance of education, and went from there.
I think that's a really good coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Okay, so reflecting on your journey through education, career development, and personal growth, what have been the most significant challenges and learnings, and what advice would you offer to the young adults navigating the pressures of achieving success in today's world? You could just talk about like advice you would offer. You don't have to talk about significant challenge.
So the best advice I would offer, like, with achieving success in today's world, is taking ultimate responsibility of any and every action. Like, I'm responsible for not only myself, but my family and my neighbors, even strangers, I'm responsible for them. It's like, that's how I'm really starting to understand. It's like, everything is within your control. If there's a problem within the world, if there's a problem within you internally that needs to be fixed, like, it's your fault that it's not getting fixed. So the most successful people are people who solve problems. They take on challenges, they take on risks head on, and they just solve those problems. And in order to do that, then they take on the responsibility to solve those problems. So it's really, I'm really at the point where I'm just trying to gain as much responsibility as I can and just not succumb to it. Just put it on your shoulders. That's really what it means to be successful for me. Because if the more responsibility, you're not even gonna notice. You just become successful because you're just handling all the responsibilities on your shoulders, one by one, through the world. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know, and that ultimate responsibility thing can only work if you're taking it serious. So, of course, I'm not perfect, and I'm not at the stage where I'm taking 100% serious. But it's like, you need to take it serious. Everything is like
Important.
is your fault. It's important. If you have one too many beers one night, if you're staying up late one night, if you decide to go out and do this instead of doing that one night, it's like you need to be responsible for all of that. Even even big problems, global problems, like the people that solve them are the people that say, this is my fault that this is happening, or I need to take responsibility to fix this. Right? So yeah, I feel like that's like the best advice I can give to people is just to actually take responsibility for everything, any and everything.
Okay, I think for me, my advice is just learn yourself and learn the world. I think by learning by yourself, it makes it easier for you to learn the world, and learning the world makes it easier for you to learn yourself. Because I think it's important as a young man to be able to navigate throughout life in a healthy way, a balanced way. And for you to do that, you also have to know external responses and internal responses to how things are going around in your nature.
Right.
I also think that another advice I would give is to be able to go through life, like, how do I say this? Being able to I think the first advice I gave was a really good advice that I would stick on. Yeah, by learning yourself internally and learning yourself externally, it makes it important to navigate life throughout your career, your personal relationships, and anything to be honest.
Right.
Because then if you learn, what affects you internally and how it affects your mental health, your emotional health, physical health, it will make it easier for you to be able to handle external relationship, external actions,
Forces,
and stuff. Stuff like that.
Exactly. I agree with that as well. A lot of problems that people face wouldn't even really be problems if they just knew themselves and knew how to deal with the problem, in a sense.
I agree.
It's like, yeah. So it's like a lot of it is internal, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. But that's all for today. I think today was a successful
Yapathon.
Yapathon. Yeah, it was a successful Yapathon. Really important things we talked about, just about as young men. And I think it was great that you were able to come on today.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I caught you.
Yeah, I know. I feel like you've been dodging this for a little bit.
Yeah, I was able to catch you. Because we be talking about this stuff all the time for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, but
might as well record it.
Yeah, might as well record it, to be honest. And yeah, I think we'll be able to see you down the line.
Oh yeah, you guys will definitely see me back here again.
Yeah, and and we'll definitely see you in your own personal content whenever you decide to start, because I know that's a goal of yours.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's it for Alphy's Yapathon today. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Please share it out to other people if you enjoy the content. And yeah, let's see where this podcast journey takes us all.
Yeah.
All. Yeah.
Peace.
That
was cool.
Yeah, that was really good.
I fucked with that. That was fun.